Okay, we are recording. Thank you. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Chai Chen Chen. I am the resource sharing coordinator in OLIS. Today, we are going to, the program is about resource sharing procedures. HELIN and I will be going through the process from the beginning to end. So again, my name is Chai Chen Chen. Katie, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Holcomb, and I am a librarian at CCRI. I work at the Warwick campus, and I oversee the interlibrary loan and resource sharing procedures for CCRI.
Okay, this is the topic we will be going through. It's all about resource sharing. But first, foremost, we want to just briefly provide an overview of what our library's opening status is. We have 170 plus library facility, and we will go through them real quick about where we are, where everybody is. And then we will be going through the requesting, the process of requesting and supplying from beginning to end. When I say from beginning to end, that is everything minus your local procedure, because after we do not dictate how you handle the material locally. For instance, if you receive an item from out of state or from a library outside of your consortium, that by now, hopefully you already have an internal process in place, and which will not be covered in this program. And then we are going to, I'm going to point out again about LORI standard, where you can find the information. And I'd like to collect some input, if possible, about our past certification, which happened in July 2020. That was a brand new process, and it seems pretty smooth for us looking at from our end. But if I'd like to hear your feedback if you are if you're part of it. And then finally, we will have time for question and answer. However, please feel free to let us know and either type in the chat for question or I guess. The chat for question will be good. In the end, we can open up the microphone for everybody to bring up their question verbally. Okay, library opening status. In July 2020, we launched our new round of LORI certification, and that process ended for most pretty much at the end of September. We extend the deadline for school because school was in subject upheaval until the end of the year. But we have the majority of LORI library renewed the membership. We lost 21 library altogether. 19 of them are schools. So every academic library have come back, every public library, and most special library, we lost 19 school library. You can see the number over here, but for school, you can see that even though there are 80 libraries certified as a LORI library, only 35 of them are taking are using the delivery service, which is, I think the delivery service is an indication of, it's part of the criteria for you to fully participate in interlibrary loan. So delivery status can be an indication of how many libraries are active. So far, 35 school libraries are receiving regular delivery, somewhere around 7 on DoD, and all public libraries are open. They may close here and there when they have a case of COVID happening within the library or the staff. But they are open in general. And I want to show you one thing. Let's go off the line. For the public libraries, okay, I want to show you one interface where you can check the public library's status, which was developed by our own Jason Ackerman. This is the OLIS homepage. You can, right now, the only way to get to it is through the slider. I will be providing more prominent link to that. If you click through this, this is the slide, Public Library Service Status. And this is the page where you can search the library either by the library name or the city and town. And let's choose, or you can just browse through and select the library from down here. Let's select by town, say Bristol. Okay, and then Bristol Rogers Free Library. So this is the public library status, and we have a lot of detailed information. And then, so computer available, yes. No, there's no military service, but external Wi-Fi are available. And curbside picked up, in-library picked up. So all these detailed information are here. And further down, we have the detailed hours. These information are provided by the Ocean State Library. Ocean State Library is gathering the data, these data for their computer app. So we piggyback on the data, and Jason put that all together in this interface. So again, if you can go to our homepage, OLIS homepage, and look for the public library service status, and then you can find all the detailed information from here. Okay, Katie, do you want to provide an update on academic?
Yeah, so I don't have information about every academic library in Rhode Island, but I can tell you that every academic library is currently providing, is doing lending and borrowing for ILL, but I do have some more detailed information about several of the libraries. So at CCRI, we are currently getting delivery once a week, and we are quarantining items for 3 days. And we still are lending all of our materials except for our reserve items, which is the same as pre-pandemic. At Johnson & Wells, they have gone back to their pre-COVID lending status, so they are completely up and running. They do not currently allow visitors to come into the library, but they are doing, I think, curbside pickup. And they get delivery twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. And that is for both the downtown campus and the Harborside campus, but they get deliveries on different days. For Providence College, they are getting delivery 3 days a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. They are quarantining items for 7 days before they are checked in and reshelved or put onto the hold shelf. So that's kind of important to know about. And that, so anytime books are returned to the circulation desk or we get them through the delivery, they are quarantining them for 7 days. For Roger Williams, they are lending and they have twice a week delivery on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wheaton College is getting deliveries every day, Monday through Friday, and they are quarantining books for 3 days. And Bryant University is up and running. They are back to business as usual. And in fact, they're actually doing things a bit quicker than they were pre-pandemic because they have more folks trained on the ILL procedures. So they are quarantining items for 3 to 5 days, depending on the type of material. and they get lorry delivery 3 days a week. So if they get an incoming request to send an item to another library, their turnaround time is between 18 and 24 hours. So it is very quick. And they have been invited to participate in OCLC's Express program as a result of that. So kudos to Bryant University for their quick turnaround service. So those are the updates that I have for the academic libraries. Like I said, all of the academic libraries are currently participating in lending and borrowing, but the turnaround time depends on the library that you are requesting from. So some libraries are taking longer than others, and some, such as Bryant, are actually doing things quicker now.
Mm-hmm. So if they are in the OCLC Express, they must be on site. The staff must be working on site every day.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Thank you, Katie. You may have noticed we have 17 academic library facilities, but only 15 of them are on delivery right now. Those two missing are Brown University and New England Tech. New England Tech, the last time I checked, they are all working remotely. And so it's just a matter of time. We just wait to hear from them. And Brown, I have been in contact with Brown. We will be touch base again at the end of March to see where they are. They are not ready. In fact, they are bins, like four bins full of material waiting to be delivered to Brown since last March. And they're still sitting in the facility. So they are not quite ready yet, but they say we agree to touch base again at the end of March, which is coming up pretty soon. All right. Is there any question about the library opening status? See, now let's move forward. Okay, let's start with requesting items. The golden rule is go local first. So when they request, you want to check to see if the item can be found and requested within your local network. That local network can be your library, can be your consortium, but not lorry. Lorry is not. It's not backed by a automated network. And when it is not available from your local network, you want to search item to other consortium. That other consortium can be OSL, HELIN, and WriteLink. OSL and WriteLink, they have their local iOS, Destiny, and Sierra, which is quite open for the public to search, and HELIN too. Katie will go over the HELIN part because the HELIN library use WordShare management, which is not as, most people are not as familiar with that as the Sierra or WriteLink. And for a lot of library, the list is getting long that do not belong to the shared catalog of OSL, HELIN, and WriteLink. This is the link that you can use to find out, to go to their library and search their local catalog. We have more and more libraries are on their own, Brown, URI, and Bryant University, but Bryant University, at least you can search them on OCLC, and a lot of independent libraries such as Redwood, Providence Atheneum, and so on. So we have free network, free share catalog that you can search. Oh, this is the hyperlink that you can go to find the individual catalog of the independent libraries. All right, let's start with the HELIN catalog.
Yeah, so Back in 2017, the HELIN libraries migrated from Sierra to World-Share Management Services for our catalog hosting. And hopefully in the past 4 years, folks have been getting more comfortable searching our catalog to find books through the HELIN system. But there are some tips and tricks that I have to help you all in finding information through HELIN. Chai-Chen, can you go back to the PowerPoint, please? Sorry.
I forgot I'm sharing the screen. Sorry.
Yeah. So there are 3 of the HELIN catalogs that we really recommend that you use to search any of the HELIN libraries, and also to find information about some of those independent libraries like Chai-Chen was mentioning just a moment ago. So currently, because of the way OCLC works and the way that libraries are able to configure their catalog at each individual site, CCRI, Providence College, and Wheaton College, we have our catalogs configured in a way that is going to be most easy or user-friendly for other libraries to search our catalogs to find information about the whole HELIN consortium. So those are the 3 library catalogs that we recommend that you start with. So you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so before you begin searching any of those 3 catalogs, there is an option located below the search box to select all HELIN libraries. So you would need to select that option. And even if you do forget to select it before you enter your search terms, there is the ability to narrow down or expand out to all HELIN libraries once you have your set of results. But if you can remember to go ahead and select that all HELIN libraries option. And then when you're entering your search terms, if you have the ISBN for the item you're looking for, we highly recommend that you use that as your search term, because you're going to get the specific result that you're looking for. You can also search by title, author, or keyword, but you won't always get, at least not as the top 1 or 2 or even 3 results, the actual item that you're looking for. So that can be a little bit frustrating. So if you have the ISBN, go ahead and search by that. Next option would be the title search. But doing a keyword or an author search, that's going to bring up a lot of results that are not what you're looking for and may not be relevant at all to what you're trying to find. So that can be really frustrating. And even like when you are searching the different HELIN catalogs, from one catalog to another, even if you're using the 3 that we recommend, you will get results in a different order. So that can throw people off sometimes. To see the holdings and availability for a title, once you enter your search terms and you click search, you'll get a list of results, and then you'll need to click on the title to open up the detailed record. This step may not necessarily be required when you're doing an ISBN search. If there is only 1 result in the catalog, it might take you directly into that detailed record for the item. Holdings for all of the HELIN locations will automatically appear with the availability if you are using the Providence College Library Catalog. If you're using CCRI or Wheaton, you will need to click a View Availability button to actually see that information, but I'll show you examples of that in the catalog in just a moment. Also, you will need to scroll down towards the bottom of the record to see availability for other HELIN libraries, as well as other libraries that own the item. So that is one of the great things about World Share Management Services and using OCLC for our catalog hosting, is that you are able to see if other libraries in the state or region have or own an item. It doesn't show you the availability of that item unless you click on the link to go into that library's catalog, but you can at least see if it's owned somewhere else. So we can go on to the next slide. Okay, so in my demonstration this morning, I'm starting off using the example of Providence College. So I have circled here in this image the option to select HELIN libraries before you enter your search terms in the box. So that's where you would make that selection to search all HELIN libraries. Okay, next slide. So now, because I have an ISBN for the item that the patron is looking for, I have entered that into the search box. You do not have to change the option for keyword. If you are entering a title or author search, you could select that instead of keyword, but it's not required. So you can leave that just set as keyword. And then once you've entered your terms, you would click search and Chai-Chen, next slide. And this brings you to a result page. So as we can see here, there is only one result for the library, but this did not take us into the detailed record. What we can see on this page is that it is owned by Providence College. We can see the location and that it is available, as well as the call number. But to get more information about the item, we'll need to click on the title. So next slide. When you click on the title, you're brought to a page that looks something similar to this. On the left side of the page, you have the brief detail information that gives you the title of the book and where it's held and the call number. But then on the right side of the page, if you scroll down a bit, you'll see that holding information in more detail. So we can see that it's held at Providence College and there are circulating stacks. It is showing us available with that green check mark, and there is the call number as well. But then to see additional libraries, because we're currently searching Providence College, that is going to come up as their top result. It's going to show you their status first, and then you would scroll down to see more information about other libraries. So we can go to the next slide. So scrolling further down, we see that this item is also available at CCRI Warwick campus and Rhode Island College. So we can see that it is available at both of those libraries, and we can see the call number. And that's the information that you need when you're entering or filling out that LORI ILL request form. Okay, next slide. So this is now doing a demonstration for using the title to search for an item. So I put in the title of the book. Next slide. And so now we see that there are 50 results when we did this title search. And we do have the top 2 results here are for the same book, different editions of the same book. And in this example, we can see that the first result here is actually an older edition. And the second result is the newer edition that we were looking at in the previous example. So this is just to demonstrate how when you do a title search versus an ISBN search, you're going to get A, more results, and B, the order of the results are going to be different and sometimes not the most intuitive as what we would think they would come up as. Okay, so next slide. So we've clicked on the second result here. And from here, and you can do this even when you're doing an ISBN search, but you can click on this section for view description that will expand that part of the catalog to provide more information. You can also click on the Explore Editions and Formats section that will show all of the editions and formats for that item, and it will tell you how many libraries own each edition and format, as well as if it's held by HELIN libraries. Okay, next slide. So here I've clicked on the Explore Editions and Formats heading, and I can see that this first result is the record that we're currently viewing, and the second record is a different edition, but it is also held by HELIN libraries. And we can see that under the library column on the far right part of the page. So then you could click on those titles to get the more specific holding information for each title. You know, sometimes patrons don't really care if it's the newest edition or an older edition, as long as it's the same title, you know, they're happy. So the newest edition might be checked out, but there could be an earlier edition that is available that you could request. So that's when you might use that option to see what other editions are available within HELIN. Okay. All right, so I clicked on the older edition, so we're looking at the 1987 copy of this item, and looking at this, we can see that there are 4 HELIN libraries that own this title. And because Providence College does not own this edition, they're not listed first in our result set. We currently have, we're showing on this screen, Providence, or not Providence, but CCRI, the Providence campus, is listed as the first holding library. But because there's 4, we know that there are additional libraries that hold this specific edition. Next page. So scrolling further down, we can see that this item is held at, again, CCRI Providence, the Rogers Williams University, Salve Regina University, and Wheaton College. And I do want to point out that the shelving location and holding location is provided for each library. So the holding location is in the dark gray box at the top, or dark gray bar, and then the shelving location is below that. That can be important information to know so that you pick the correct LORI code when you're submitting the request. Because for Community College of Rhode Island, of course, we have 4 different LORI lending codes. So you would need to select CCP if that's the item that you wanted to request. Okay, next slide. So scrolling even further down the page, we can also see the status of the item. And for Wheaton College, we can see that this item was checked out as of January of last year. So that gives you that information. You know that you would not want to put the request in for Wheaton College because their copy was checked out. So you need to make sure that you're looking at that status for each individual library. Okay. So a few other things to know. Each of the HELIN library catalogs are configured in slightly different ways. So even going from Providence College to CCRI or Wheaton, you would get a different result set for the same search, or you could get a different result set. Chances are the results are the same, they're just in a different order based on the way the library has their configurations set. OCLC's Discovery Catalog will also give holding information for libraries worldwide, so it's not just looking at what HELIN has to offer or what one specific location has. As we'll see in a moment, if you scroll further down into the catalog, you can see that, for example, that Brown University also owns an item. You won't be able to see that it is available or what its status is until you click on the link to go into their catalog. But again, you can at least see that a different library outside of HELIN also owns an item. Okay. So in this image, we have scrolled further down into that catalog record. So the HELIN libraries would be further up at the top, but scrolling further down, we can see the library locations worldwide that own this particular edition of the book. So we can see that Ocean State Libraries does own the title, as well as Brown University, Roger Williams Law, University of Rhode Island, and Bryant University. And I have pointed those out because they are outside of the HELIN consortium. We can also see here that some of these libraries have the blue hyperlink, so you are able to click on those library names, and it would open up a new tab and take you into that catalog record. Ocean State Libraries, we do not have, it's not hyperlinked, so we can see that Ocean State Libraries owns this, but we would then need to manually go out and open up a new tab ourselves to search their catalog. Okay, next tab. So if we clicked on Brown University, the link in the Providence College catalog, when we click on the Brown University link, again, it opens up a new tab. It brings us right into the catalog record for the book that we're looking for. And it tells us the location and the call number and the status. So this is really helpful. So you're not having to manually, type in different web addresses to do different catalog searches. You can use the HELIN catalog to find information on a lot of the different libraries within Rhode Island to find items. Okay. And just like with Brown University, if we wanted to see what the status is at Bryant, you can click on the Bryant University link and it takes you into their catalog. And Bryant University also uses WorldShare Management Services for their online catalog. So the interface looks very much the same as searching any of the HELIN catalogs, but they're just not in our consortium anymore. Okay. And a few other things to know, if you are using a HELIN library catalog other than Providence College, CCRI, or Wheaton for your initial search, you may need to adjust additional search settings to see all of the HELIN library holdings. Search setting options may be available below the search box on the library's homepage, or you can adjust those options after you have entered your search. Okay. So for example, if we wanted to search Salve Regina's catalog, we can see here there are no options to adjust by location or consortium level below their search box. So you would just need to enter your search terms, click search, and then we can go to the next page. We have the options on the left side of the catalog where under refine this search to sort by library and where held by which library. So the current setting for Salve Regina is set to sort by library, but if you are searching their catalog, you want to change that setting to be best match. And then under held by library, you would need to change it from libraries worldwide to the HELIN libraries option. So they currently have their library default to search all of the library catalogs in the world to give you results. So you're going to see results for a lot of things that are not held by either Salve or the HELIN consortium. So that's why you would need to adjust that and change it to HELIN libraries. Okay. So once we change our settings to be best match and HELIN libraries, our list of results change. We have 41 results now, and our order of results have also changed. And we can see, so this first item, of course, is available or held at Salve Regina, but results 2 and 3 are not held at Salve, but it does tell us that they are held at HELIN, at other HELIN libraries. Okay. Also, when you're searching the HELIN library catalogs, you may not see the item availability information right away. Sometimes there is a button that you have to click to see whether or not an item is available. And that's how we at CCRI currently have our catalog set up. Okay. So searching for the same title at CCRI, we can see that it is held at the Warwick campus, and it shows our availability right away because we want our students to know or be able to see that information without having to do any extra clicks. But scrolling down further, we can see that this is also held at 3 other HELIN libraries, but we have that check availability button that you need to click to find the call number and the status for each of those locations. And you have to click each button to see each individual location. Okay. So clicking on the Providence College check availability, that now expands and we can see that it is available and the call number and the location. Okay. All right, so that was, oh, and actually I do want to mention before Chai Chen gets into her part of it. So these slides are for what the HELIN catalog currently looks like. And I was mentioning to Chai Chen before we got started this morning that, of course, after I verified that all of these slides were up to date, I found out that our catalog interface is going to be changing soon. So this is what it currently looks like. but I'm going to begin. Do you mind, Chechen, if I stop sharing your screen so that I
Sure,
can?
yeah, and I just promoted you as a co-host. You can share your screen.
Great, thank you. So I have here a record pulled up of what the new catalog is going to look like. Are you able to see my screen now? Yeah, okay. So the information here is basically the same. We have access options here on the side. If we scroll down, the layout is a bit different. So there's this button to select HELIN libraries. The Warwick or the CCRI information is still brought up here at the top, but you would need to click on that View HELIN libraries button to see the holding information for those 3 libraries. And then same for other libraries worldwide. If we click on that button, it will bring us the information for those other libraries. So we still have the option to look at Brown University and any of these other libraries. If we click on View Catalog, it brings us to their catalog record. So I did want to just point that out because, again, our catalog is changing. I don't know when this will be going live. This is kind of a test instance of it that I'm able to access right now. But, of course, anytime that we're planning a presentation and trying to get things ready to teach, of course, there has to be a change and something is different. So I didn't want you to be alarmed if suddenly the interface has changed when you go in to do a search through the HELIN catalog in the future. Okay.
Okay. Back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so Katie just went through the process of searching from HELIN catalog. And once you go through that, you want to send out a request to one of the HELIN library, O'Brien or URI, because we do not have a joint system with our academic library. In fact, we don't have any joint system among the 3 major networks. So you would need to come to this Lori ILL form to make the request. Yes. So this is what it looked like, the top of the form. Again, the URL is olis.ri.gov/lori/request. And this is the top of the form, allow you to enter your name, email, and then you will select if this is a book request or article request, and then the relevant field will pop up accordingly. And at the end of the form, you get to choose up to 4 libraries. The first library, they are all dropped down. You can, this is the first, second, third, and fourth. You can specify up to 4 libraries to send your requests. So, once the form is filled out, you want to submit the request. And then if you do not hear any confirmation in 3 days, I suggest you contact the first lending library that you have specified in your form. If this is really urgent for you, I would contact them in 48 hours, not 3 days, to see what's going on. But in the Lori standard, we ask library to respond within 3 business days. So that's what it is. If after 3 days you still haven't heard from them, contact the first supplying library to find out what it is. And then if you have the material and at hand, you check out to your patron and you need to renew that, make sure you renew the request. You contact the supply and library again, but within 48 hours before the due date. So you seek the permission to either renew, and if the library say cannot grant you the review, you want to make sure that you return the material as soon as you can. So if you determine that you know, the item you're looking for is not available within the Lowry Library community, we always provide a window to the out-of-state library for our library to borrow, especially on behalf of the library do not have OCLC access. And we call that OLIS ILL Clearinghouse. To get there, this is a URL, olis.ri.gov/lowry/firstsearch.php. And from this screen, you have two choices. You can log into First Search from here. You would need to have a Lowry ID and a password. If you don't already have one, use this link over here, register for a Lowry account. To register, you will be prompted for a form to fill out all the information you needed. And someone in our office, Jeremy Cutler, my colleague, will activate the account for you. Usually after you submit it, you want to send in you want to provide a fact, you want to provide the basic information, your name, your title, and your library. Using your library's letterhead stationery, use that to fax it over to OLIS. That will prompt Jeremy to look at the registration and activate your account. We do not get back to you, but after you fax your information in the library letterhead, we usually activate the account within 1 business day. And in First Search, after you have your Lowry ID all set, log into First Search with your Lowry ID. I don't have the screenshot to tell you how to search. I know you can all capable of doing this. So they have advanced search, they have basic search, and one of them. And so you do the search and you narrow down to 1 bit record. And after that, you come to this screen. This is the bit record specifically for what you're looking for. And when you narrow it down to 1 bit record, the ILL button will be available on the banner at the top, header banner. Verify that this is the item you want. Click the ILL button, and this form will come up. Again, just fill out the information and hit submit. What happened is after you hit submit, this request will go to OLIS's OCLC message file. We have staff check into our message file 5 days a week and just find the library for potential supplying library and submit the request on your behalf. We have set up our templates so that the out-of-state library, when they receive the request from you, the material will ship directly to your library. And when you receive that, make sure that you let us know that you have received. And also when the patron return the item, you're ready to return the item to the out-of-state library. Please also let us know all this, because we need to update the OCLC record to receive, to return, especially the return, because if we never update the record to return, your supplying library, when they receive your return material, they could not check in the material because every step have to be in place for the next step to happen. So, so make sure that you let us know when you receive the material from the landing library. And you also let us know when you're ready to return the material to the landing library. You want to use your own regular US book rate postage to send the book back to the library, with the exception of Massachusetts Library, which we will touch base later on. And when you're done with first search, it's okay. You just close the button, just log out, or just close the window. But the best practice is to hit the submit button on the screen, because that just, that just end the session of your search of your activity. It just looked nice on that will help us to for the purpose of statistics. Okay. When you receive a book through the OLIS ILL Clearinghouse, the book most likely coming from the out-of-state library, you want to keep a copy, again, because you do not have a system locally to track the progress. So when you receive the book, make sure you keep a copy of the request for your record. If you have submitted the request through first search and you do not hear from us, usually Kelly, our staff, which is the primary staff who take care of forwarding the request for you. If you do not receive a confirmation in 2 business days, contact us so we can find out for you what's going on. Again, for the ILL Clearinghouse request to out-of-state, the same rule apply. You want to renew the material. If you ever need to renew the material within 48 hours before the original due date. And and also notice OLIS when you need to return. This is very important. It will make the supplying libraries, the staff routine a lot easier if we follow along every step along the way. That is requesting. I want to see if we have any question about requesting. Okay, see none. Let's continue. So for the supplying, we are talking about supplying to your other library within your consortium, which that include that we are not going to cover that because that would leave it up to your consortium's training from your consortium. So for any requests outside of your consortium, we still rely on email because we do not have a shared catalog invited. So the first step is check for incoming requests daily and respond within 3 business days. The email is whatever you supply to OLIS, on file with OLIS. If you go to a page called Lori ILL contact, that is the email, which I will show you later on. That is the email that we have on file from your library. If that is not correct, contact me so I can change that. So check your email and respond within 3 business days and verify if you have the material. And if you do, process and ship the material with a copy of the request and the due date information, and email the requesting library to let them know that the material is coming, because as we have mentioned, many times 3 business days. The shipping may take some time. If you email them, the request in library right away, the moment you ship the material, it eases their peace of mind, so they don't have to reach out to you just because the material is in transit. If you do not have the information, if you do not have the material for the request, you want to transfer the whole manually to the next supplying library, or cancel the request if no additional copy is available. Whatever you do, email the requesting library and give them the update. This is the page that have the information about the contact information of our Lowry library, because this is so important. Let me see if I can show you the page. Contact information. No. Sorry. Let me get back from here. So you will come to here from resource sharing and Lowry ILL contact. So this is the Lowry ILL contact for every Lowry library. The email that I just mentioned, this is what we have on file, the email address of your library. If you get a chance, verify if this is correct. If you prefer to use a different email for your library, let me know so we can change it for you. And I want to encourage you to use a very generic email account for the purpose of ILL. Try not to use a personal account. This is a generic account, open library. So most likely, if friend is out, someone else will be able to cover for her. This is not a personal, this is not a generic account, because most chances are the library director will be the only person that have access to this account. But we put it here because the generic account is not available. So if you can set up a generic account, so if the staff responsible for checking the email is on vacation or on sick leave, someone else can step in to cover for her or him. Okay, so you want to if your library do not have the material that you can supply, or you can't supply for other reason, you want to find this is what the incoming email look like, the bottom part of the email when the requests come into your library. In this case, Rockwell School Library is the first supplying library. If this library cannot supply, you want to forward the request to the next library, which is URI. Again, go back to the ILL contact page for email for URI and forward a message, a requested message to URI. That's and then again, forward the email to request to URI, and you want to notify the requesting library, telling them that request has been forwarded to URI. Because we were talking about email, the Lowry ILL email request, I couldn't help to add this. This is what the email looked like, the email header looked like now in 2021. Form name is Lowry ILL request, submitted date, and this report link. So this part about library name is the email folder. Prior to 2019, we used to have an email header look like this. It would say Library of Rhode Island, and then the subject line is Lowry ILL request with the request number from, which is taken from here. ethnium, whatever is here, it got populated on the subject line. We are looking for a way to improve the email header for what's going on right now, because we shift a platform from UFU to LibWizard, and LibWizard do not offer us that kind of flexibility to program the header, the subject line, but we're working on that, possibly move to another new platform, but there will be no interruption in between the migration. All right, you may be getting email from Massachusetts Library when, not at this moment, but we have a ILL agreement with Massachusetts Library starting in 2017, and everything come to a pause in March 2020. We haven't resumed the activity yet because Massachusetts Library is really into quarantining their material. Library are quarantining their material for 7 days, for 2 weeks, and which slow everything down. And also almost all requests coming from Massachusetts, if you're borrowing from Massachusetts, every piece of material will have to go through a library agency, a nonprofit agency called Massachusetts Library System, because the material go through Massachusetts Library System before they travel to Rhode Island. Massachusetts Library System is the staff is working remotely from home, mostly. Most staff work 1 day a week in the office. So this activity, the lending and borrowing between Rhode Island and Massachusetts, it's put on hold, partly because of that. So first, it was the library continued to quarantine the material for a long period of time. And also Massachusetts library staff are just not available to process the requests for library on both sides. So, so once you resume, when you borrow from Massachusetts, most of the borrowing activity go through the OLIS ILL Clearinghouse. So that's the borrowing part. But to supply, you get an email from Massachusetts when it happened. The email looked very similar to Lori ILL email requests because we set that up. It's the same platform, same setup. The borrowing request almost always universally made by Massachusetts Library System if they come into email, of course. And then to supply, you want to root for, Massachusetts is very complicated in their delivery system. They have 6 different routes. You want to make sure that you use the delivery slip that you use. You want to choose the one of the 6 routes that's that will be that will work, will go to the library. That information will come into the email. They will tell you which route. And then we can have a different session to go through the detail of how to handle material shipping to Massachusetts when we resume the delivery. But I just want to mention that if you need to send material to Massachusetts, be mindful about this. And if you have questions, if you're not sure, let me know. And also Massachusetts do not have 3-letter code for their delivery. You have to spell out the library name or the name of the town. Usually if the material is going to a public library, you want to put down the name of the town, because in Massachusetts, so there are libraries that use the same exact name that exists. The same name, one public library name can apply to 2 different towns. So So for the public library, you always want to put down the name of the town, city or town, not their library. It's complicated. Again, like I say, when it's time to resume, we can have another session, just go over the detail. If you need to decline the request from Massachusetts, forward to the next supplying library, again, because we set up the form, the email will look almost exactly the same as Lori ILL request. Forward the request to the next supplying library and email MLS. This is very important. Email MLS, which is Massachusetts Library System. Let them know that you have forwarded the request to the next supplying library. Or if you are the only library on the list, or you are the last library on the list, email Massachusetts Library when you have to decline, tell them that you're canceling the request, so they know to turn to other place for requests. Again, to renew, because this is the 48 hours apply to in-state when the material going from out of state, and especially from Massachusetts. If you can give a 3 business day to let the supplying library know. And if the supplying library fail to respond, you can just extend the loan period for another for another 3 weeks. That is expected. So unless you hear back from the supplying library, it is okay to extend the loan period. All right, that is all we have for requesting and supplying. Next, I want to go through, I'm not going through the Lori certification. I'm sorry, I'm not going through the standard, but this is the URL that you can take you there. And you can also find the URL on the OLIS website. What I want to know, briefly go over is what happened in 2020. In 2020, we moved the Lori certification from homegrown web form from OLIS website to LibPass, which is the platform that's used for public library annual survey and the academic library. Some kind of ALA, ACRIL survey also happen over there in LibPass every year, but not everybody in the Lori, in academic library that we have contacted are responsible for that. But anyway, so we moved the platform to LibPass last year. So from late June through September, we offer 7 or 8 trainings. And then July 1, we email out the login ID and password to every library. And then we launched the certification July 15 through September 15. And then from September 16 through the end of September, we extended for the school library. The process, second on this list, and 3 will likely, and 4 will likely repeat this year. I'd like to open up to see if we have any feedback, like do you, please feel free to open, just turn on your microphone if you like to speak. I just want to hear if, how you feel about this move from the OLIS website to LibPass, and if you have any insight of, the room for improvement or anything.
I'll jump in real fast, Chai Chen.
Yes.
I know from my perspective at CCRI, I really liked the form that was available on LibPass. It was, to me, much more it was easier to fill out and it made more sense than the previous form that we had to do. And the timing is so much better because we do have, in the academic libraries, we have the ACRL statistics that we had to do at the beginning of the year. So the timing of it, it was like back-to-back certifications that were going on previous. So the timing is great, in my opinion, for the academic libraries.
Great. We work really hard to find the time because it's one size fits all certification, and we have school, public, academic, and special. Not so much each of the special, but it looks like there's no perfect timing. We come up with July 15 to September 15. That time it's still not entirely convenient for school, but I think it's the best that we could find. Yeah, we don't have any school librarian here today. Is there any other comment that you'd like to share among our audience? Okay, that must be fine then. All right. All right, here's the correct time for general question Q&A. Let me stop sharing my screen. These are my information, contact information. Katie and my contact information. Feel free to contact us. Up here, it's a LibGuide for resource sharing working group. If you have anything resource sharing specific and you want to talk to somebody from your library type, this would be the place to look for. Resource sharing working group is a group that consists of multi-type library representation. You can find someone from your library type to talk to over there. And again, Katie and my contact information are here.
And I just want to mention real fast, right now at CCRI, we're mostly still working from home. So my phone number is not going to be the best way to contact me right now. You're certainly welcome to call and leave a message, but it will probably be at least a week before I'm able to get back to you if you call me. But I am on my email every day. So right now, email is the best way to reach out to me.
The same for me, because I am also mostly working remote. Okay, I am going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to open the floor for questions. Any question about today's presentation or just resource sharing in general?
We must have just done an excellent job, Chai Chen. It seems like no one has any questions. Yes, did you have a question? We can't hear you.
Oh.
Do you want to type it into the chat? Cool.
All right, while she's typing, I want to mention that in the beginning of the session, I mentioned that we would not be touching the local process part because we don't know about how you handle a lot of detail locally. But there is a group of staff working together, that OSL library staff are working together in OSL, and they're working on a best practice recommendation for I guess checking in, borrowing material, and then how to check out to patron and so on. The best practice is not just for not just to help your staff, have something to follow, a procedure to follow. Also, it would help with us eventually to be able to use Sierra to track the interlibrary loan statistic that's happening in our public library. Okay, I see that in the chat. I have been wondering what the status was with Massachusetts. Yeah, okay, yeah. Even though Massachusetts, the two network we borrow from OCD and MLN, which is All Colony and Miniman, they are not lending. In OCLC, they are still non-supplying. But if you have material that you want to return to Massachusetts, you can use lorry delivery, because everything is paid for from here to Wheaton, Wheaton to Norton, and from Norton to Massachusetts Library. As long as the library in Massachusetts are receiving delivery, you can return their material using lorry delivery.
I will just add to that it seems to be taking things much longer to get to their destination libraries. We had a request over a month ago now from Tufts Library, and they use the courier system. So we sent an item from our library to Tufts, and it took like 6 weeks before it was received on their end. I don't know where it had gotten hung up, if it was somewhere in Massachusetts. We sent it through the courier, but they emailed us like asking where this item was, and finally got notification that it had, like, once we kind of tracked it and got it back, it was, or not got it back, but got information about it, it was scheduled to be delivered to Tufts the very next day. So, it eventually did show up there, but they were really unhappy that it took so long, and they thought that it had been returned to us because we had 2 copies of the same book. So they checked our catalog and saw that there was a copy on the shelf, and it was this whole thing. So if you do send items to Massachusetts, just be aware that it can take a very long time to actually get there.
Yeah, if this continues, maybe it's not a good idea to borrow from them. It would be too frustrating for your patron.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, all right. It's 10:46. Give another shout out. Any question? If not, we are going to end the session.
Thank you all for coming. And just to put this out there, the Resource Sharing Working Group is still meeting. We have meetings every other month. Our next meeting is coming up in April 11th, I believe. And they are open for everyone to attend. So we're doing them, of course, virtually right now. So if anyone's interested in coming to one of our meetings, reach out to either me or Chai Chen and we can get you the link.
April 8th.
April 8th, okay.
Always welcome. The meeting is always open. We have a set members, but the meeting itself is open. So join us. All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.